We feel confident in the game, and it's the same thought we had with Apex. Was the comment made by one of the Highguard developers just a few days before launch. This January 26, Highguard released PvP raid shooter from the same developers behind Apex Legends and Titanfall, and in less than 3 days, it already has 21,000 reviews on Steam with mostly negative results. How is it possible that a game that promised so much ended up being such a massive failure, not after months or weeks, but just days after launch? To give you an idea of how serious this is, not only does Apex Legends, a game released in 2020, have 15 times more players than Highguard, but even Counter-Strike, a game from the year 2000, has more players than Highguard. Like back in 2000, many of you watching this video probably were not even alive, not even me. While this game promised to be an ambitious shooter, a hybrid that aimed to blend elements from hero shooters, battle royals, and tactical FPS games into a single experience, what it ended up being is a messy mix of genres that has satisfied almost no one. It's not that the game is bad, it's that the game itself does not seem to know what it wants to be. The game combines magic, firearms, hero abilities, melee combat, mounted movement, large-scale siege mechanics, looting systems, and base defense objectives. Individually, many of these ideas could work, but together they feel stitched rather than designed. There's a lot of users on Steam who think that individually these ideas are cool, but together they feel weird and unnatural. Another point of huge criticism is the decision to lock the game into a 3v3 format. Highguard's maps are extremely large, far larger than what most players feel is appropriate for such small team sizes. As a result, a significant portion of each match is spent traveling across empty spaces, searching for loot, or simply looking for the opposite team. However, the biggest driver of the hate started long before launch. Many players still haven't forgiven Highguard for its reveal at the Game Awards 2025. It was chosen as the final game reveal of the night, a spot usually reserved for massive blockbusters. When the show ended up with a multiplayer reveal that did not meet expectations, the game started trending for all the wrong reasons. Some even accused the studio of paying for the spot, though that's been debunked. Geoff Keighley was just genuinely excited for it, believing it could be the next Apex Legends. While it peaked over 97,000 users, that number crashed to just under 7,000 in 2 days. That is a staggering 92.9% drop in active players in just 48 hours. We don't know the exact number of active players on other platforms like PS5 or Xbox, but Steam works as more than a sufficient indicator to gauge the state of a game. The fundamental issue is that the developers seem to have taken inspiration from a wide range of live service titles, Rainbow Six, Valorant, Dota, and Apex, and tried to merge them into a single experience. We were promised a new genre of competitive gaming, but in its current state, it doesn't feel new at all. It feels like a derivative version of games we've already played extensively. In literally any game, first impressions are extremely important when judging a game at a glance. And in this case, what you're greeted with when you boot it up is a 20-minute tutorial just to learn how to talk. Then, when it comes to defending, you're basically left to figure it out on your own, though to be fair, it's not that hard to enter it. On the other hand, another very negative first impression in my opinion is the visual aspect. The graphics are just not very good, they are not horrible either, but Call of Duty Black Ops 3, which came out 11 years ago, looks way better. I can understand that they may have done this so that any kid can run the game on their PC regardless of specs, but if that's the goal, then the kid with a weaker PC should play on low settings and everyone else should be able to crank the map. In fact, the gameplay you're seeing in the background was recorded yesterday with all settings maxed out. Now, regardless of the graphical quality, from an artistic standpoint, we can say the game looks pretty bland and generic. It doesn't have a memorable art style like Fortnite, and I don't even like Fortnite, but I can still admit that game has a very unique identity. On top of that, there's another issue with that. While it may seem simple and not particularly annoying, often becomes a reason why many people stop playing a game altogether. And just like in Concord, the characters are not memorable at all. Yes, the game has only been out for a short time, but the characters lack strong personality and don't even have designs that are overwhelmingly distinct like the champions in League of Legends, and that game has hundreds of characters. If you remember, Concord's characters were some of the blandest and least appealing characters to play ever. Because let's be honest, at the beginning, who picks a character for their abilities or how good they are? Everyone picks them because they look cool, and that's it. Moving on to the most important part, the gameplay, we can say that the gameplay is fairly solid. Honestly, being better than Cyberpunk's gameplay is already enough for me, but it's not attractive enough to sustain a long-term experience. And going back to what I said earlier, making the game 3v3 on such a massive map is one of the biggest mistakes they could have made. The map feels empty. If there were at least mobs like in League of Legends, it wouldn't be so bad. But the only interaction we have with the map is breaking crystals by spamming tomahawk throws just to upgrade our gear, and that is just not engaging at all. Then the base reinforcement mechanics feels very meh. The problem is that everything that is in shooting other players feels boring and repetitive, and it's not a tiny part of the match either. Proportionally, it takes up a significant chunk of the total match duration, although the character abilities are pretty good, not gonna lie. As for optimization, I consider my hardware to be pretty decent, and even so, the game doesn't feel very smooth. It's not stuttering, but it's not fluid either, and considering that the game doesn't look anywhere near Cyberpunk on Ultra with ray tracing, it somehow runs just as bad or worse. Finally, I don't want this to be a hate video toward the developers at all. I have nothing against them. In fact, I really like Apex Legends and Titanfall. I have played around 250 hours of Apex Legends, and I honestly think it's the best battle royale right now. And I don't think they'll ever see this video, but I'd like them to take it as a feedback review. As I've mentioned before, I think the game has huge potential, but it needs to refine its identity, have a much clearer and more appealing design direction, and make the non-combat moments of each match more engaging. And that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe, and if you disagree with any part of my opinion, please let me know why in the comments. Always keeping things respectful. Thank you very much, and see you next time.